We have pulled out one of the second molars. Let's look at this patient. Patient coming with a concern is, I want to improve my profile. So the first thing I will think about is, if needed, I will pull out teeth. Because with the patient, it's very concerned with profile. When we try to do non-extracting protocol, even we do up and lower molar digitization, allow for IPL, it may not get enough space. And we put non-extraction protocol to extreme, it can even more difficult than extraction protocol. So, after looking at the patient's X-ray, I can see there's a radiolucency on the 7th. That is a bit protrusive, but the inclination of the incisor is quite acceptable. So, what should we do? From the transverse, we may improve the arch form a little bit. Make sure it's symmetrical, make sure it's roundish. Vertically, the overbite is right. And sagittally, we want to retract so we gain space. Routinely, upper arch, I remove tooth number 4. First premolar, easier for us to control anchorage. For the lower arch, I extract the 3-5 instead of the 3-4. The reason is, sometimes when I come across, maybe, there is more mesial movement on that region. There is mesial tilt 4, 5, and 6 at that regions. And there is a density vaginalis on these, the 5. There's a different reason that because of anchorage. Of both sides, to balance the anchorage, I will try to select move extraction of 5. And also one reason I just mentioned in the previous slides. In what situation I remove the 5? While we have a deep bite situation that we want to use stage intrusion, I prefer removing the 5 instead of 4, so that we can retain the attachment on 3 and 4. Of course, this is an option. Okay, we get always more different methods than to tackle one problem. But that is my preference. So this patient I remove 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 5. What about quadrant 4? Sometimes we may need to consider removing 4 or 5. If I really need to make a decision, I will remove the 4, 5 instead of 4, 4. To me, 4, 5 probably is more, 4, 4 should be more healthy. And while we're moving 4, 4, you can bring the bone to the area. But you remove the 4, 4, you finish with a black triangle, probably. And the control of the root mechanism, both will be difficult. But removing 4, 5 is easier. But finally, I remove the 4, 7 because we cannot keep it. Okay, we cannot keep it. So 3 premolar extraction with the 4, 7 remove as well. So for the quadrant 1, 2, 3, we just treat it as an ordinary premolar extraction. For quadrant 4, that will be more difficult because we need to do a lot of digitalization. What do you mean by a lot? 8 millimeter digitalization. To gain the space that we needed to connect the impacted 4-4 as well as to retract the lower anterior to improve the patient's profile. We need lower retraction so that we can retract upper as well. Okay, so that started an anchorage issue. Because usually we need to run a class 2 elastic. No matter you see it's a class 2V or class 2, we need a class 2 elastic for us to retract upper anterior. We need that anchorage if we are not going to put a mini screw. But in point 4, we need to run a class 2 elastic, but we also need to do digitalization. It is contradictory. So how can we do it? Finally, we need to run some mini screw. Okay, for the quadrant 3, we remove the 3-5. Please note, the mesialization is 2.4 millimeters. It's also a moderate anchorage, not easy. Okay, let's talk something about the management of the lower left, the quadrant that we remove the 2, 4, 7. From the beginning of the treatment, we try to distalize the molar for the first 4 millimeters. 4 millimeters. Each aligner maximum velocity is 0.25. 4 millimeters means 16 aligners. So we use 16 aligners to distalize the 4, 6. And in the first 16 aligners, we didn't run any elastics. So any tooth movement is just basically in using the upper posterior teeth to retract the upper anterior teeth and also to retract the lower anterior teeth on the quadrant 3. But after 16 aligners, we still got another 4 millimeter to this slice. I add a mini screw. After I think the bone remodeling is fine on that area because we move 4/7 the big pathology, a defect underneath. And then you can see I run some power chain here. And also, finally, after the tooth finish digitization, I use a ligature to tie on the distal button, which is a composite button. Okay, and then I form a button, metal button in the front. I try to use a different material. So you can see it is a power chain. To continue the digitization, it is a ligature. To turn this 4/6 into an absolute anchorage for us to run the elastic. And when we talk about the anchorage control in the sagittal plane, we run the class 2V elastic, but at that time, I'm not running the vertical with the V with the vertical component at the back. I run the V with the vertical component in the front because that impacted 4/4 is not fitted. The reason it's not fitted is because no matter how big you scan, you cannot capture the data or part of the data in the lingual, in the mesial, and the occlusal as well. So the pointing, actually it's the pointer, the coverage, it's just the pointer is a thick one. So it cannot go into the aligner. So we need to remove the attachment and run some vertical elastic to help. After we run the class 2V elastic, it turned into a class 3V. So because the posterior teeth got very good anchorage, but it's assisted by the class 2 component to help to retract the upper anterior. But up to a stage, upper retraction is enough. We want to retract the lower anterior so that we can finish with a nice overjet, overbite, as well as a class 1 canine relationship. So that is how it worked out in the first series of alignment. You can see on the right side with digitization and then turn it into a maximum anchorage with use of elastic to help us to maintain the anchorage as to retract anterior and with a vertical component to help us to extrude the incisor. Now you can see how we use the alignment mechanics and together with the auxiliary mechanics to help. Auxiliary tools in here included button, elastic, power chain, as well as a mini screw. That is what we achieved after the first series of alignment. Arch formation is always very good. And then you can see the root control. We talk about extraction treatment. We also look at root control. How do you comment about root parallelism? I think the tooth didn't achieve the best control is the impacted 4/4 because there was no attachment to control unless we put a section on it. But for the other area, 1/4 extraction, 2/4 extraction, 3/5 extraction, since then, for this patient, root parallelism can be controlled very well with just aligner mechanics. Okay, if the posterior can control very well, aligner fit, anterior root torque control will be good as well because aligner is fitting. We don't need any overcorrection. If we don't lose the root torque, we don't lose the overbite. That is the logic. So this is how we achieve. That's the root parallelism. Okay, I tell you one thing. When we use, no matter we're running elastic on any buttons, we need to trim the aligners. Sometimes we are not using the cut or cut out given by align technology because sometimes we perceive it as too big for us. So we trim it by ourselves. Fortunately, I never do it. My nurse do it. Okay, but this patient is a very good patient. She always said, if I want to run the elastic, Dr. Yau, I found that your nurse didn't trim the aligner precisely. Can I trim it by myself? Then you can see how good is the patient's compliance. He trimmed every aligner by himself. So she always looked at the fitting, the aligner margin very carefully every time. That's why she can achieve Then with parallelism after the first treatment. Okay, so compliance is always the most important thing. Okay, so let's look at the second treatment. In the first treatment, we didn't do anything on the wisdom. You can see, but the wisdom is still having some uprighting or maybe minor mesial movement, which is not avoidable if this is not covered by the aligner. So what we need to do is we want to upright it, but at this time you can see something look like my current extraction protocol. We put the attachment on the distal, we leave the mesial surface for the button, and we run some vertical traction. No matter it's a class 2V, class 3V, pure vertical, we can still deliver the right moment that we needed to extrude and provide counter moment for the uprighting. How much is we talk about the amount of uprighting? It's a 30-degree tip, and also we need to move the root for 7.5 millimeters. So that is a lot. So can we achieve by just upright that molar and move the root mesial by just elastic and aligner? Okay, we run the class 3V elastic because every time we do clinic monitoring, we look at the occlusion, midline, canine relation, molar relationship, whether there's interference, whether there's overbite, to determine how should we run the elastic. So this is a class 3V to retract the lower, to reduce the interference. And the vertical V elastic is helping us to upright and extrude the impact for midline elastic is for the midline. And then we change. After we improve everything and then we just miss the posterior extrusion, we run some vertical elastic as well. And that is after the second treatment. After the second treatment, you can see in the first treatment, we already finished with a good control of root. And the second treatment, we details alignment and occlusion. But another thing is, how is the wisdoms, uprighting and visualize? You cannot see it very clearly, but we can see it here. Now it's being uprighted. Not perfect, you can see the margin which still miss a little bit. So I try it again and also do some more detailing. Okay. Some obsessive syndrome. Okay, so I try to make it the margin which parallel. Because we know we can do it. Okay. Because I want everyone to know we can do it. If we know how to run the mechanics. Sometimes we didn't finish in details. It just maybe the patient do not comply or the doctor want to stop there. Okay. I want to make sure everyone know how can we fully utilize the mechanics of aligner. Although no appliance is perfect. Okay, so after retraction, improving the profile, it is smile that will change. Okay, in here I want to show you another example that I'm still working on it. Another 4/8 uprighting cases without sectional. It is the 4/8. It's really a horizontal impacted tooth. Okay, here's a class 3 patient. And the first series alignment, we just focus on the cheek concern by correcting the anterior crossbite. And then, in the refinement aligner, in the first refinement, we try to move that 4/8 distal to open up a space between the 8 and 6. And then we start our movement again. But this one is more difficult because the crown is more submerged into the soft tissue, so we don't get sufficient data for the tooth form. But we can still apply mechanics. As long as we get space between the 8 and the 6, just apply the vertical traction and working with line mechanics, we can still upright the teeth. Of course, it's not easy. The most difficult part is we did not get a perfect guide like what we get in previous case, because we don't get data of the crown that submerged. So, but we can just keep on figuring it out. But no matter what, I just want to simply show part of the information, the progress of this case to you, to show you that if you really understand and believe how we manage to use the aligner mechanics and the auxiliary mechanics, we have more potential to control even more very difficult tooth movement. Okay. I didn't finish this case yet. They still need some details. But I would say this is not easy, but this is possible. And you can add another choice. We can another way to upright horizontal impacted molars by putting an eye wire into the mesial. By putting a mini screw on the ascending ramus, it's a lot of ways. But now we got more options. Okay, now finally I want to show you two cases that is quite interesting. It is not a purely premolar extraction treatment. Okay, for lower incisor treatment, but I'm still removing premolars. Why we need to extract incisors? Usually, I don't recommend lower incisor extraction unless the incisor got really a health problem. Because a lower incisor extraction treatment is quite easy to allow us to push us to fall into a final end result without a good occlusion. But for this patient who is a dancer in Disney Hong Kong, okay, she's performing in the Lion King, but we can see her face. Just a lot of painting on the face, but we can still see it. So we have to take a concern about the smile. So she is complaining about crooked teeth and protrusive profile. The bite is a little bit deepened. The problem is there is 1525 that we can actually done before. So if we really want to pull out teeth, that will be the option. And for the lower, there's a 3-1, which also has some antibiotic treatment, and this is a tool with poor prognosis. So for this patient, to gain sufficient space to improve her profile, I pulled out 1525 and also 3-1 and probably 4-5. It's a 5 anyway. But after we pull the 3-1, the problem is if we pull 5 instead of 4, it is good for the patient's smile. But if we pull out 3-1, that will be difficult because she's showing her face every day to the audience. So how can we manage it? I put a temporary cantilever connection pointing here. How can we make it? Let's have a look. We put out premolars to gain space to improve the profile. And can you see it? That is strange. The 3-1 is here, but it is disappearing. But the 4-1 disappeared, it becomes pointed. Because I asked the technician to give me a pointed, which is large enough for me to make a temporary bridge. And actually, in this area is not that easy because we still need to do a state intrusion. So what exactly we are doing for this low incisor for premolar extraction now is after seeing so many complex treatment, that is easy. Okay. Because after I pull it out, I immediately use the aligner template to put some composite on the 4-1 as well because the point is bigger than the 4-1. And then I do a cantilever bridge. Of course, the aligner is a bit rough, so I need to polish it, and then I just keep on slicing it to make sure the patient got teeth. And for the rest of the things, it's easy for you. Just my resin protocol, postpone, post-active movement, the attachment design, the clasp PV, the elastics. Okay, for front teeth, you see we just try to make it smaller and smaller, and finally remove it. To make this kind of bridge, cantilever bridge is not difficult. To remove all the residual composite takes me a lot of times. Okay, so now we can see something happen. We got some root recession, maybe because of the defect or insufficient bone here. While we are moving the free tooth towards the mesial, we lost some of the control. Okay, so I stop here. The treatment is not finished, but I stop here because I need to do a rescan. Because now we want to make it fit. We got a new tooth, free tooth, because all composite has been removed. When I'm doing the intrusion, what we need to do is stage intrusion. Make sure I add some lingual root top to move the free tooth root back to the soft tissue, and that is what can happen. Intrusion is in progress. You can see we are leveling the curve of speed, and then finally you can see the gum grow back. Okay, we can do it. That is a difficult situation. We don't want to see until we get to do gum recession in the rest of the life. And then finally we are close to finish, and we do some detailing if needed, and then that is the result. So premolar extraction can control it. Root movement can control it. But somehow there is some difficult situation we need to just think about it and to figure out some way to fulfill the patient's need. Okay, change your profile, change your smile. I got 1 minute. Got only one case. Let me overrun a little bit.